Good morning, welcome back to K-Man Builds. Yes, I know it's been a long time since I've done a video. We're rolling up at about a year since I've done a video. Let's just say I've had a busy year. Today we are working on this John Deere 3025E with the D160 loader. This is a 25 horsepower tractor. It's a 2017 model. I've had this thing since it was new. When I got it new, the lift was supposed to be about 1,000 pounds at the pin there. I may or may not have got 1,000 pounds out of it. I think I had a hard time picking up 800 pounds with the forks on here. As you can see in the video, I can pick up one log pretty easily. The second log, it doesn't even want to pick it up. It doesn't even try to pick up the back end. Last week I thought, well, let me go ahead and just rebuild the pistons, all 4 of them, the cylinders, and see if that would help. So I put the John Deere kits in there. Not a hard thing to do, but it is a mess, obviously, when doing that. And it hasn't really made a big change. Before I couldn't pick the front of the tractor up off the ground with the boom. Now I can at least get it off the ground, but not very well. So I kind of decided I wanted to really upgrade this, so I did some research, and what I came up with was these larger oversized pistons from HydrosPlus. These are the HydrosPlus Lift 300 Max, I think is what they're called. The biggest difference between these is the ID on these cylinders from John Deere is 1.5 inches. The ID on these is 2 inch. So they're supposed to give quite a massive lift capacity on here. It's going to be a fairly easy install. These cylinders and pistons come out pretty easy with a couple of bolts and nuts. I mean, it's a really easy job. It is a bit messy, but you'll see that. So we're going to go ahead and swap these out, and then we're going to come back and try to latch onto these 2 logs and see if we get a difference. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start on the left-hand side of the tractor. You have 2 hoses and 2 nuts on these bolts that come through to take off. These are 21 millimeter on the hoses and 24 millimeter on the nuts. Provided that you've put the boom down and rested everything, you really shouldn't have any pressure in these when you relieve them, but what I do is loosen it up, just kind of wiggle it and make sure you got no pressure coming out. You're going to get some hydraulic leak and kind of come out of this thing when you take the hoses off, so have a bucket or a pan or rags or whatever, and then try to get these elevated so that they don't leak too terribly much while you're swapping these out. Once you pull off the nut, you're going to see that this little pin right here, it's kind of a odd-shaped, and so you don't have to put anything on there. It holds itself in position while you're actually trying to loosen this up. Once it's done, you take a little hammer and kind of tap it a little bit, and it should pop right out. So there is a little O-ring in here. Make sure you don't damage that or lose it. Once you loosen it up, it just pops right off. All right, now we're ready to pull these things out. Be careful not to cycle this at all. There's still hydraulic fluid in both ends of this piston, and with the hoses off, if you move it, it's going to squirt out. Okay, so looking at this, you can see how the piston is down, meaning the end of the piston is down here. So if I pull on it, a lot of fluid is going to come out of here. So we're going to take that. Now I'm fixing to push it the other direction. All right, that should be good enough. Now let's get the new one on. All right, so now we're gonna put the HydroPlus on. HydroPlus comes with these little caps on here. We'll take these off, and we're gonna put them on my The old John Deere's. I'm going to keep them pistons. The pistons are good for something, I just don't know what. It already comes with, well, it does not. Wait a minute, what happened here? Oh, it does come with the O-rings. Okay, so one of the little O-rings stayed in the cap. Make sure, well, you can get it out of there. Make sure you don't forget that, because you will need that O-ring in there. I need to go get a tool to get this off. All right. Now there's an O-ring on both sides. Make sure, obviously, you point these hose connections toward the center. Come on. It's not one to let go. Ow. Come on. Just a hair too long. All right, so you just make sure it goes all the way in. Like I said, these are kind of odd shaped, so they only go in one way. Once you do that, now we put everything back together. All right, I can already hear some of you out there saying, hey, what's the torque specs on that? I don't know. I didn't bother looking it up. I just made it nice and snug with this. I figure it doesn't really have a lot of tension on it. These things are actually fairly loose in here. So if you tap on it, oops, it'll actually have a little space between this and this, so it just sits snug on there. I don't think it's going to be an issue. And we're just making these snug. We're not trying to over tighten them. They've got an O-ring in there, so you're just tightening them up. And that is it. So we will do the other side, and then we will go try to see what we can do with those logs. All right, so we got both of them installed. The good thing about this system is you don't have to bleed the air out. It's a self-bleeding system. So we'll go ahead and start it up, kind of cycle it back and forth a little bit, get all the air out of the system. The air will kind of return back to the system over here and go out. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, pretty happy with that. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it kind of picked the front end up pretty quick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back it out over here, and we're gonna just kind of put the forks down and see how quickly we can pick it up. Before, it would pick it up, but it would be real slow and kind of jumpy. So now we wanna see if it'll actually just straight up. right, well there you have it. These things work great. You saw how I obviously don't have enough weight on the back to counterbalance this, so I'm gonna have to work on adding more weight back there, but it picked it up without an issue. And this is, yeah, so I don't know what the weight is on this, it's hard to tell, but yeah, really happy with this setup here for sure. So now I need to work on adding more weight to the back to kind of balance this out, but I know I can pick up a lot more than I did before, so I'm curious to see once I get some weight back there. Some of the things I know that are pretty heavy that I haven't been able to pick up, I'm curious to see if I can pick those up.